Hello, and welcome to another CTEL training series. In this video, I'm going to show you how to actually complete the new unit planning document. We have unit plans here under TAP, our strategic planning process, as well as student learning outcomes. Here's the trick. Once you learn how to fill out one form, you really have learned how to fill out the other. So the first thing you want to do, everything is housed online now. You want to go to Faculty and Staff, and from there, select Faculty and Staff Resources. Scroll down past the CTEL logo and locate Strategic Planning, TAP Forms. Select the plus sign. So I want to show you this pane for important purposes. So if you notice, there's really two windows. Look at the blue area. It's dividing these windows. So the first thing I want you to just kind of understand about it is that at the top, this is when you're brand new, you haven't created any forms, and you're coming in. It's like the first time you're doing your unit plan outcome number 1, 2, and 3, and you would come here to do your SLOs 1, 2, and 3. This is not where you would click on to go back to a document that you've already created to finish it. So this is just where you go to. You only click up here when you're starting something that is new, okay? Now, let's say you've already done your form and you just want to tweak it, or you want to make changes to it, or maybe you're in tab 2 and 3 and you want to add to it. It's a form you've already created. Well, if you notice down here, these are forms, these are the directions you follow to gain access to your drafts, your saved documents. So if let's say you finished everything, now you're just going to, you're adding things. You come down here, you go past that second blue bar, and you click on your drafts, and your drafts follow these directions. I'm going to actually show you this, but this is where you go. You click on your drafts, and it's going to take you to your saved documents. So don't click up here looking for saved documents. You must come down here to access your drafts and your saved documents. There's even a separate little tutorial just on that, so you can watch that if you would like to. So now that I've cleared up that slight confusion, because that's been confusing for some, let's get to it. So as you can see, at Lawson, all departments must submit at least 3 unit plan outcomes, as well as 1 to 3 SLOs. If you're an instructional unit, you must submit 3. Notice what I said. If you're an instructional unit, you must submit 3. If you are a student services unit or an administrative services unit, and you've been assigned, not all of those divisions are assigned, but you've been assigned an SLO, and when in doubt, you can always ask us. Ask Dr. Green or someone else. Ask me, I'm Cherie Davis, or someone else, your boss. They'll tell you if you have an SLO. And this is also where you would secure your unit narratives. So let's go into Unit 1. So remember, you only come here, and it's going to single sign in, use the same sign in you use for My Lawson. And it's going to take you right to Unit 1. And you want to fill it out. One thing that I will tell you is this. This is not the type of form, especially if you're not used to it, just coming in and clicking. Like I'll do it now. I'm going to go ahead and just click and, okay, completer of the form. I can plug in my name, right? But notice what I didn't do. I didn't read the directions. You have to read the directions. This form is set up and designed. See the directions up here? It's set up for you. It's almost like training mixed in. It's guiding you on what to do. So do not rush through this process. Read the directions, because it's a complicated kind of form. It's not difficult to fill out, but you can make it difficult if you don't read the directions, okay? So that's rule number 1. Please read the directions. So each unit department must have at least 3 unit outcomes designed to improve the effectiveness of the unit. And it's telling you to complete A through G1 for TAP 1, and then you come back after the holiday break, and then January, February, you're going to go ahead and do TAP 2, and then later in the spring, early summer, you're going to do TAP 3. So let's just go, for the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and plug in some basic things here. I'm going to try to move as quickly. What division? I'm just going to select anything, right, at this point. I'm moving very, very quickly through the document. Okay, let's say it's DMS. All right, I'm going through, and I'm going to pick, let's find Sharika Derrico, since I just picked DMS. You're going to find your supervisor. Now notice here, this is new. We're now saying, hey, who's helping you with this document? right? Remember I told you earlier in the previous video, if you've seen it on TAP, what TAP is. TAP is Team Assessment and Planning. So you know, Dr. Derrico should list not only her name, but anyone else who helped her with the establishment of this document, right? Of this planning document for this unit. So that's extremely important. And so you just want to plug in, I'm just going to start plugging in like fake stuff here, but you want to plug in everyone that assisted with this document, okay? It's team assessment and planning. Here, we're looking for a measurable outcome. Again, read the directions, look at the examples that we're providing for you. So it says in the space provided below, type in the unit outcomes in measurable and quantifiable terms. So you can't just write increase, you know, increase ... You need to say increase by what number, increase by what. It needs to be measurable outcomes. So let's take a look at the examples. Create 2 health professions virtual labs to support and enhance student learning and engagement. Baseline is 0. The reason why the baseline is required is because we can't measure what 2 really means, right? So I'm going to plug this one in and type it right there. Paste it. So it's measurable because we said 2. We see that measure 2. Where are they starting? 0. So we know that we can measure whether they've achieved the outcome at the end of the year because they either have the 2 virtual labs or they don't. It's that simple. Notice down here, 90%, 9 out of 10. And this is for Chief Blanton, one of my favorite individuals on this campus. So Chief wrote 9 out of 10 of safety and security officers on the LSCC police force will complete 20 hours of active shooter training. He's very clear, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. That's the example. So if he gets at the end of the year and he says 7 out of 10, he hasn't achieved the outcome. But he's Chief. He's going to achieve the outcome, right? He's Chief. Okay, let's move on. So again, measurable. Make sure you provide baselines. That means where are you starting? If we don't have a starting point, we can't measure it. Okay, next thing is asking us, link to the institutional mission, vision, and core values. So you have to list, okay, this is new. Click here to view the mission statement, the vision statement, and core values. So it's asking us to define that, qualify it. How does this goal of creating the visual lab support the mission of the institution, right? Did you look at the core values? What core values? List the core values. And you can actually click here and it'll take you to the mission statement, the vision statement. So you need to talk about it in terms of the language here, right? If I copy this right now and I come back to my document, I can talk about what elements of the mission, right? Does this particular outcome above support, right? Lifelong learning opportunities, gainful employment, whatever, transfer, whatever it is you want to tie it in, quality educational opportunities. It definitely fits right here, and I need to talk about it. Also, don't forget about the core values and the vision, and you want to talk about all that in this box. Next area, budget implications. Here you're asking yourself, okay, if I'm doing these labs, and again, we're going to use the lab as an example, how much is it going to cost? What's my projection, right? 2 labs? I might say it might be $50,000 or $60,000. Now remember, an outcome could take up to 3 years to achieve. So he or she may get half of this done this year and the next half done this year. But this is collectively. It might be 3 years, but how much are you projecting? Doesn't have to be an exact, but what is your projection? Also, you're going to tell us, is it a new outcome? Yeah, it's a new outcome. Or have you been working on it for the 2nd year or 3rd year? If it's a 4th year outcome, you have to explain down here why. In other words, the college is saying, look, you've been working on something for 3 years and it still hasn't been achieved. Why? Tell us what's going on. We get to section E. I love this section. This is the pre-planning of your outcome. And the spaces provided below list at least 3 targeted activities in your department that you're going to implement this year to help achieve this outcome. In other words, what is the unit department planning or planning on doing to ensure that the outcome is reached this year? But notice the note here. Unit departments do not have to report back on these activities. This section is for planning purposes only. So what we're doing here is pausing you and say, okay, you've got this great outcome and this example to create this lab, right? You want to create these 2 labs. So down below, they're saying, okay, how are you going to achieve that? Do some planning right now within this document. So maybe one of the things is that they're going to meet. I'm going to just fake type this. I'm going to meet with Dr. Derrico and talk about the budget and see if I can secure additional Perkins funds to at least get half of this done in 1 year and half of this done in the next year. I'm going to plan that out. I'm going to write a grant for possible, maybe that's my second thing. I'm going to look for grant funding, right? I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to meet with the president, not the president, excuse me. I'm going to meet with the vice president of instruction and the dean and Dr. Derrico to do X, Y, and Z. Whatever it is, you need to think about how you intend. You just can't have a lofty goal. How do you intend to even do this, right? I'm going to research best computers and virtual systems to make sure I know I'm going to basically get the cost set up to determine what is needed and the cost for everything, right? Finalizing the cost for the lab. What's needed in the labs? Pick out the chairs, pick out the tables, pick out the virtual centers, right? All of that. Now, under section FG, F through G1, notice up here you have tab 1 and tab 2, and that's for any of the areas. It shows you tab 1, tab 1, tab 2, tab 1. So you can tell which ones you have to do during tab 1 versus tab 2. And if you look across, this is tab 1, this is tab 1, but over here, when we get into the actual results, it's tab 2 and 3. So under tab 1, that means everything, if you see tab 1, everything has to be done by the fall, the early fall, like no later than the end of August, early September, you should be done for tab 1. So here we're looking at assessment methods. How do you intend to measure this unit outcome using both direct and indirect measures? Go right back up to the outcome and say, okay, how do I intend to measure whether I have these labs? Well, to me, that's pretty easy. You know, your lab is either there or not there. So I can say, okay, I'm going to first say I'm going to use an invoice and POs to show that I've ordered the virtual sets, right? And I'm just going to, not writing this the perfect way, but you would actually write this out better, right? But you're going to say what it is that you're going to use, right? Then over here, anticipated results. So I'm going to write that I'm going to order 15 virtual headsets, right? As part of this virtual lab that I'm setting up. Down below, I might talk about same thing with POs. I can also put another PO, but here I'm specifically talking about maybe I'm going to order the computers. Maybe you're going to use iPads. You never know. Maybe they're iPads instead. It doesn't matter, whatever it is that you're using. Maybe you need desks or you have them or chairs. Who knows? Whatever it is that you need. And then you're going to put it down in measurable terms. Notice that I just didn't put order virtual headsets. I put down that I'm going to actually order because anticipated results. What is it? How many? And so here I might say 15 computers and desks. Now I'm going to actually change this because it's 3 years. So I'm going to bring this up to ultimately it's the ultimate goal. So my ultimate goal is 25. So I'm going to put my ultimate goal, not just my annual goal, my ultimate goal. Now, when you get to tab 3, when I get to tab 3, or tab 2 and 3, now we're reporting on results. Now we're halfway through the year, or maybe we're at the end of the year. I'll push this down to, I'll give you all the way to tab 3. So in tab 3, you're going to go back and look at what you wrote. You said that you're going to use invoices and PO evidence. You were going to put that in there. And then you said you were going to, the anticipated results is that you were going to order 25 virtual headsets. So now it's the almost, you're in the summer. Let's say that we're in May and you're ready to report on what you've done. And you realize that you've only ordered 15. So you put 15 virtual headsets were ordered. And here you report the same thing. Maybe it's not virtual headsets, but you're talking about, now you're saying 15 computers. Oops. 15 computers and desks. I'm just going to type in there like were ordered. Again, you're using numbers here, okay? Now, it varies. Sometimes you might be dealing, look at the examples they give you up here. 8 out of 10 faculty will achieve A+ certification. That's a different type of marker. 2 computer labs, that's the one I just did. But you can also do it this way. But remember, whenever you put down raw numbers, you need to also put down percentages. So we just finished part 1 of training. This continues for part 2. Look for part 2 that that ultimately will finish the entire document. So again, I'll see you on the other side.